name's Talyn, registered dietitian from Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, so today we're making a quinoa and kale blueberry salad. I've got some ingredients for you. We're using dino kale, also known as lacinato kale, 2 carrots, blueberries, quinoa, a shallot, some garlic, feta cheese, of course salt and pepper, basil. Our dressing is gonna have apple cider vinegar, olive oil, and maple syrup. So our first step is to wash the quinoa. So hopefully you have a sieve at home, and if not, you can just dump your quinoa into a bowl, give it a good rinse, but the sieve makes it easier. We're trying to get rid of some of that natural acid layer on the quinoa, which protects the quinoa, but it makes your quinoa taste a little bit bitter. So once you have it rinsed, go ahead and put it in your pot and fill it with 1 cup quinoa, 2 cups water or broth, and then you're gonna bring it up to a boil just like you would with rice. And then once it starts to boil, turn it down to a simmer, put that lid on there and let it cook for 10 to 15 minutes. And you will have this cooked quinoa. You'll see that there are these little white spirally bits that pop out of the quinoa, which means it's ready. And you're gonna wanna take a fork to fluff it. So you just kinda, ooh, look at the steam, fresh and hot. So it's nice and soft. Your quinoa shouldn't be dry, shouldn't be crunchy, shouldn't be hard, shouldn't be mushy. If you did, you either overcooked it or you undercooked it. So we are going to let this cool down. Take your shallot. We're going to cut into the bad boy. I like to cut off the tip first because it makes the peeling process much easier. Now, a lot of recipes will use shallots instead of onions for dressings, which is what we're doing today. So once you have your shallot peeled, there's another layer. All right, once you have your shallot peeled, you can slice it thinly. Slice it thinly. If you have a sharper knife, that would help, of course. I'm gonna need you to sharpen this later. All right, our shallot is peeled and sliced. We're gonna do the same thing to the garlic. I take my knife, take my palm, crunch it, and the skin just pops off perfectly. That was too easy. Boom, skin's gone. For the most part, there's a little bit of skin left on this guy. Double check to make sure your skin's gone. Sometimes there's a couple layers. Like I thought I got all the skin off of this one. But wait, there's more. Okay, so for our dressing, we're going to blend it up in a blender. And for that reason, we don't need to worry about chopping this up into evenly minced pieces. So I'm just gonna give it a coarse chop. And then we're gonna put it on our skillet on medium heat with a drizzle of olive oil. Once our pan is hot, I'll go ahead and I'll add the shallots and the garlic with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm gonna saute that, let all the juices out, and then we'll add it to our blender. You should be able to hear the ingredients sizzle in the pan. That's how you know it's hot. You can drop a nugget of garlic in there first. And if it's sizzling, you know to add the rest. While our garlic and shallots are cooking, we can shred our carrots. This is a messy process. Take a carrot, have it washed, shred on your shredder or grater. Or better yet, if you have a food processor, use that. Okay, we've got our carrots ready to go. Don't forget to give your shallots and garlic a little stir. Check their softness. It might take about 5 minutes for them to get nice and soft and fragrant. Here is our dino kale. I love dino kale. Thyme kale, I think, makes for the best salads. It's not as rough as the curly kale. This is what the curly kale looks like. We like using the curly kale for kale chips, and that's about it. At the market, you might have the stems still attached, and the stems will be a lot longer. So cut those off. The stems are edible, but we're gonna have a salad, we're not cooking them. They're pretty fibrous, so go ahead and remove them. So after you've washed your kale and you cut off the stems, we're just going to chop them into bite-sized pieces. Throw them in your bowl. And then you will have 2-ish cups of chopped kale. We need to massage it. We're gonna drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. Clean hands, massage. A lot of people don't like kale because they say it's too hard, it's too tough, and I asked them, well, have you massaged it? That is the secret, ladies and gents. Massage your kale, break down the fiber. Super fun if you have kids, by the way. It's a nice workout. Now, doesn't that look different? More enjoyable? I think so. If the stems are too much for you, you can toss them out. But I don't mind them. Fiber. I do mind them, I do mind them. I want to take them out. Alrighty. Our garlic and shallots are cooked. We're gonna make the dressing, so we can throw these guys in there. And we are gonna take a 1/3 cup blueberries, handful of those guys, some pepper. I like pepper. Pinch of salt, 3 tablespoons apple cider vinegar. 1, 2, 3. And I always wanted to know how much a capful was. Where's my teaspoon? Oh, a capful is 1 teaspoon. Okay, now we know for the future. A tablespoon of maple syrup, or you can use honey. And a tablespoon of olive oil. A teaspoon of dried basil. This would be even better if you had fresh basil. Our dressing is done. It's a little thick, but that's fine. Set that aside. Let's assemble our salad. Make sure your bowl's large. I'm just gonna start with about half the amount of quinoa, just to make sure that I have enough room. Looking good. Add in your carrots, and you can use whatever vegetable you want. You know, the whole point of this is to get a lot of the colors of the rainbow involved. So if you wanted to use a yellow pepper, you could. You could use corn. You could use a tomato. I think beets would be really beautiful in this. We're gonna add the rest of our cup of blueberries. Toss that in there. Oh, and with blueberries, I highly encourage organic simply because we do use a lot of pesticides in conventional blueberries. So if you get organic, great. If you do get conventional, go ahead and give it a really, really good rinse so that we're removing some of the pesticides. I'm gonna do about 1/2 cup of feta cheese. Yeah. Ooh, isn't that beautiful? Love it. Finally, our dressing. Okay. Spread it all. Make sure it's evenly coated, of course. It looks so beautiful. I love the colors. If you're not eating cheese, then you can add some probably toasted almonds to this. I think that would be great. The feta cheese gives it a little boost of protein. It gives it another color, and it gives it a bit of saltiness. So if you're not going to add the cheese, add some salted and toasted almonds. I'll probably top it off in our bowl with just a little bit more cheese, and if you have the fresh basil, go ahead and top it off with a little bit of the fresh basil too, and salt and pepper to taste. So let's taste it to see if it needs anything else. I get a little bit of everything. More pepper. Here's our final product, our quinoa and kale blueberry salad. Before I dished mine up, I tasted it and I found that I needed to add a little bit more salt. I added a squeeze of lemon juice because my apple cider vinegar wasn't tangy enough. I also discovered that the cheese to veg ratio was a little off, so I went ahead and I added more cheese. And I share all of this with you because when you're cooking, it's important that you taste along the way and you ask yourself how things are going. If you find that things are bland, it usually will need an acid or a salt. So go ahead and add either a lemon juice or vinegar or tomato to that, or salt to that item to bring out that brightness. If it tastes like earthy, then you might need a little bit of sweetness, so go ahead and add a little bit more maple syrup to it. If it tastes a little bit too sweet, I would add the black pepper to balance out that sweetness with a little bit more of a bite. So go ahead and taste things along the way. Don't be afraid to modify the recipe until it meets your heart's content, okay? That's really important. So I hope you enjoy this colorful rainbow blueberry kale and quinoa salad. Until next time.